Changing the scale of an object, whether in one axis, two axes, or three, is a pretty basic feature of any 3D software. However, with ZBrush, it's not quite as intuitive or simple as you might hope. In this video, I'll show you some tips and tricks for getting things scaled in any way that you might need. So let's check it out.
Here we've got our shark model, and let's say I want to change the scale of the fins. So let's switch to our scale manipulator. You could hit E on the keyboard or just click the button up here. And what I want to do is get this manipulator aligned with these main fins here. So I'm going to hold down Control and click and drag so that it selects around the base of the fin. I'm going to take a look around this just to make sure it's selected correctly all the way around. Looks pretty good. Okay, now I want to get this manipulator aligned from the base of the fin to the tip. So one thing I can do is click and drag from the base here down to the tip. And you might want to manually reposition these in case they didn't quite go where they should go. So I'm going to take a look around and see. So this manipulator kind of ended up kind of on the top forward end of this. So I can click and drag on the outer circle here at this end and just kind of move it a little bit more towards the middle of that fin. Okay, looking better. All right, to scale this fin up, all we have to do is click and drag on this red inner circle here at the end. So there's some things to watch out for. You might notice this is not exactly the result you want, and this is because local symmetry is turned off. So I'm going to hit Control-Z to undo that. And to really see what's going on, you'll have to make sure you've got symmetry turned on in the first place. So if it's not turned on, hit X on your keyboard so you get a manipulator on both sides. And then we'll make sure that local symmetry is turned on. Now let's try to scale up again. You might have to click and drag a few times to really get that effect looking the way you want to, depending on how big you want those fins. So you'll notice the difference now between local symmetry being on and off is now the fin is enlarging from this point right here. If I hit Control-Z to undo that and then turn local symmetry off again, you'll notice that it's scaling from the center of the model rather than from the local manipulator point. So Control-Z to undo that, local symmetry back on, and now we can enlarge that fin. Okay, so that increased the size of the fin proportionally in all directions. Now let's see if we can scale this in just two axes. Now the way to do this is to click and drag on the white circle in the center of the manipulator. And what this does is it scales in every direction except the axis that the manipulator is running in. So the axis is running along the length of the fin, but as I scale this way, it's making it longer this way, and it's also making the fin taller this way. If I hit Control-Z to undo that, you can kind of get a sense for what that's doing. I'm just going to toggle back and forth with Control-Z and Control-Shift-Z to undo and redo. So it's enlarging in every direction except along the length of this axis. So it's a little counterintuitive, but if you just remember how that works, it's not too hard. Finally, let's see how to do the opposite of this. Let's see how to lengthen the fin without increasing the height this way or the depth of the fin this way. And this is actually done with the Move manipulator. I know it's counterintuitive, but with the Move manipulator, now you can click and drag on this endpoint and it'll stretch out in this one axis. Now, it's kind of stretching in different directions depending on where you move the cursor. If you want it to go straight out along the axis of that manipulator, just hold down the Shift key and it'll come out straight. Okay, so these different controls might be a little hard to remember because the manipulator doesn't intuitively make it easy to understand what exactly is going to do what. But if you just remember how it all works, it's really not so hard.